I'm tall. I'm like 5'8.5", so like I'm a tall girl.
Jess gets out a ruler. It's like,
Listen, we could do a whole show about this.
I think we could.
that was a good one to end up. Boy, this hour went fast.
Super fun.
Yeah.
Well, it's so good to be with you guys. I appreciate it.
Good to be with you.
It's so good to thank you guys for watching. To be with you guys as well. Have a good one.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Well, good morning to you, and welcome into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer. Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday morning, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. Busy hour ahead, so let's go ahead and jump right in. I want to let you know some of what we have going on, some of what we're monitoring for you as well this morning. Give you a live look right now inside the Orange County Board of County Commissioners meeting, which is been going on for a little bit. You can see they're on the consent agenda right now. Coming up in just a little bit, we expect the city of Orlando to give a presentation. They're asking the county to chip in about $5 million toward the construction of the Pulse Memorial. So this presentation, we expect it to be coming up in just a little bit. If that happens in the next little bit, we will try to bring that to you live. A number of other things also going on this morning. A new look for the Orlando Magic unveiled at an event at Kia Center just a little bit ago. See a live look at Kia Center right now from one of our cameras on this Tuesday morning. Bringing back the stars and the pinstripes for jerseys, for the logo at center court, for a lot of things. It's a really good look. We'll show that to you, talk about it coming up in just a little bit. Attorney General James Uthmeier in Lake County this morning announcing with some other officials as well that an illegal immigrant has been sentenced in a human trafficking case. Disturbing details there. We will have that coming up in just a little bit. At 11:30, we expect to hear from family members of victims who were the two victims who were killed in the downtown Orlando shooting on Halloween night. That's where we begin our show today. That shooting happened in the early morning hours of November 1st. 10 people were injured. 9 people were shot. 2 were killed, Tyrek Hill and Timothy Schmidt Jr. That happened when there were tens of thousands of people downtown for Halloween festivities. We know now that the family members of those 2 victims who were killed intend to file a lawsuit against the city of Orlando, against the Orlando Police Department, against several businesses as well, alleging that not enough was done to prevent something catastrophic like that from happening. We will bring that news conference to you live when it begins, but Fox 35's Matt Trezza gets us caught up on the case.
Yes, of course, we're going to be bringing that to you live when it happens. But meanwhile, family members of Timothy Schmidt Jr. and Tyrek Hill, victims in this case, are going to be filing this lawsuit that we're going to hear more about later this morning. Now, lawyers for the families are holding this news conference to discuss the lawsuit that they say failed, wherein they say the Orlando Police Department, City of Orlando, and multiple businesses failed to provide public safety measures, including crowd control and security planning. Now, this shooting happened during a Halloween block party last year. 7 people were also hurt in the shooting. Now, at the news conference, Schmidt's father will be making his first public comments since losing his son. His mother, Hill's mother, Teresa Clinton, will also be there. The teenager accused of the deadly mass shooting, Jaylen Edgar, is charged as an adult with 2 counts of second-degree murder with a firearm. He is now in Orange County Jail. Orlando police have we reached out to them to see if they had any comment on this lawsuit. They simply replied that they don't comment on pending litigation. And again, Fox 35 is going to be there later this morning at this news conference, which we are going to stream live on our website, fox35orlando.com, and also on Fox Local.
Yeah, so you can just keep that right here on Fox Local. We will bring that news conference to you, scheduled to begin around 11:30, and of course we will have that for you live here. Also, we have learned that a family plans to sue the woman who hit and killed a 10-year-old girl outside an elementary school in Volusia County. That woman was never charged criminally, but a civil lawsuit is expected to be filed against her. Fox 35's Marley Capper has that story.
The family of this little girl, Shalon Comely, says in a lawsuit that a 70-year-old driver was negligent while using a dangerous instrument. In this case, that would be her car. More specifically, the lawsuit accuses of the woman of failing to stop at a stop sign and that it led to the deadly crash, with the little girl just going on her way to school. But the Port Orange Police Department originally said the woman, quote, had not been operating her vehicle in a wanton or reckless manner. It also concluded that the woman was not speeding at the time of the crash. Police did ticket the woman for failing to exercise due care towards a pedestrian in a crosswalk. The lawsuit is asking for $50,000 in damages. While the lawsuit plays out, Shalon is being remembered as sweet and talented. Her family says that she loved to learn and go to the beach.
Live look right now from our camera in downtown Orlando. If you are parking in downtown Orlando, you might want to watch out and make sure that you don't pay a phony parking fee. Fox 35's Morgan Parrish shows us what to watch for.
Good morning. Yeah, so it's definitely hard to tell the difference between the real ones and the fake ones. So take a look at this. We're here on Orange Avenue. So this is an example of a real QR code. So how you can tell is the background is green and then that QR code is black. But if you come around this side, you can see where it looks like a sticker was placed on here on the other side. And that's what officials have been peeling off, because the fake stickers with the QR code, that's what's taking you to a fake website and stealing all of your information. So if you scan that code and go to the website and enter your personal and financial information, scammers now have access to it all. And officials say that those are the QR codes that scammers are placing all across the city. So now OPD is warning everyone to stop and think before you pay to park. And OPD parking enforcement says nearly 200 fake QR stickers have been recovered so far. And in a statement to Fox 35, Park Mobile said in part, it's important that our users are always vigilant regarding financial information, and this includes using any digital parking provider to pay for parking. So to tell the difference between the fake and the real codes, again, that real code is black with the green background, and then the fake one is the black with the white background. And here's how authorities say you can prevent yourself from becoming a victim. Inspect QR codes for tampering or stickers. Avoid scanning codes that look suspicious or damaged. When possible, use official parking apps or payment methods rather than scanning codes directly from the meter. And then, of course, as always, report any suspicious codes to police. Now, this all may sound like common sense, but again, a lot of people are getting scammed lately. So it's important to try to make sure that you can tell the difference between both, or really just try to download the app on your phone just to make life easier. For now, reporting downtown, I'm Morgan Parrish, Fox 35 News.
Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Brooks Garner joins me now. And Brooks, we're going to see these chances for rain going up over the next few days.
We sure will, Garrett. We've got a real slug of tropical air in South Florida and in the Caribbean that's going to be forced into Central Florida over the next 24 hours. And that spells a very decent chance for some rain, especially tomorrow. But for today, we're going to have times of sun and then clouds and some storms rolling in. The longer it's sunny this mid-morning and early afternoon, the higher the likelihood we are to see some heavy rains. That sun will destabilize the atmosphere. And so I expect scattered storms today to develop this afternoon. Now, we're most likely to see them, it looks like at this point, on the southwest side of town, like toward the attractions, but really they could form just about anywhere. In this kind of an air mass, the name of the game is passing showers, occasional downpours, maybe a couple rumbles of thunder, then it gets kind of bright again, and then it starts to rain again. Now tomorrow, it looks like we'll have a lot more overcast than we did today, but because the tropical moisture will be maxing out over the region, the rain chances will be up to about 80%. So a 60% chance today, high of 86. Tomorrow, only reaching the lower 80s thanks to the cloud cover and the rain chances at 80%. And then on Thursday, about a 60% chance. So here's what's going on. We've got this boundary coming up from South Florida. That's where the winds kind of collide at different angles. This illustration with the dashed line is that boundary. And along it, the tropical air will be funneled and focused. And so we'll see lines of torrential rains, which could, for some communities, amount to more than 2 inches of rain tomorrow. And in a pretty short order as well. It's not going to rain all day, but we could see a couple of bouts of rain that really add up. Now, on the northeastern part of that boundary, in the coastal waters off of Georgia and the Carolinas, there may be development of a tropical system. The National Hurricane Center gives it a low chance, but it does represent the first time this hurricane season, this very new hurricane season, it's only the third day of it now today. It started June 1st. The first possibility of a system developing. Only a 10% chance, but it could happen. Now, one force that may reduce that chance is the arrival of Saharan dust, and that is blowing squarely across the Atlantic. It happens every late spring and early summer, but it's really going to max out around these parts later this week, around Thursday and Friday. And so between times of showers and storms, if the sun comes out, it's likely to be kind of a hazy sun. And oftentimes what this dust can do is dry out the mid-levels of the atmosphere. Once you get up to about 5,000 to 15,000 feet, the air will have a lower relative humidity than if the dust was not present. It kind of mops it up like a sponge. And that can reduce our overall afternoon storm chances. But if a storm does form, and sometimes they can have damaging wind gusts, high winds as a result of that dry air being pulled into the system. It's a complex process inside of a thunderstorm, but if you get dry air that gets pulled into the middle of a thunderstorm, it often doesn't spell the end of the storm. It actually can make the storm even stronger. In this case, for the tropical system potential off of the Carolina coast, the arrival of the dust would tend to dissipate that potential, but it may form before the dust really rolls in. So we'll see. Either way, it doesn't impact us at all, although it may result in some heavier rains for the Carolina coast for this weekend if that tropical system does come together. 60% chance of rain today, the high 86, 80% chance tomorrow. Tomorrow's the highest rain chance. And then as we head into the weekend, rain chances will still be present, if not likely, but not as wide of a distribution, and it's not as likely for at least Saturday as we head into the weekend. But otherwise, Garrett, we are in that rainy season where just by default, the heat and the humidity can lead to storms. We'll especially see that reinitiating early next week as the mode and the reason for the rain. But for today and tomorrow, the reason for the rain is tropical air being forced northward along that boundary. And not to throw more stuff at you, but over the Northeast Gulf, there's also an upper level low. And so that just forces the southerly flow and really enhances the rain. So bottom line, we've got three significant meteorological elements leading to the higher rain chance this afternoon, but especially for tomorrow. Whew.
Yeah, it's a lot. That's right. That's yeah. So we will certainly keep an eye out for those. You know, we will feel it too. Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Brooks Garner, we appreciate you joining us.
You got it. Thank you, Garrett. My pleasure as always.
And give you a live look from our Launch Credit Union camera here as we get ready to go to break. 12:43 this morning, SpaceX launched 23 Starlink satellites, including 13 with direct-to-cell capabilities from Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. We're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we will be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
I want to go ahead and get you back inside the Orange County Board of County Commissioners meeting. This is going on live right now as the city of Orlando just began giving a presentation. They are requesting some funds from Orange County to contribute to the construction of the Pulse Memorial. We know the city of Orlando has committed about $7.5 million, but they expect that total cost to be more like $12 million. So they are asking the county for $5 million. Let's go ahead and listen in live here to this county commission meeting.
And of course, the work of the History Center from the first days, collecting all of the items that were left behind, preserving them, and keeping the historical importance of this tragedy. Brings us to today, another opportunity to partner together with the city and county to continue the healing process for the victims and the survivors of the Pulse tragedy. The permanent memorial. In 2016, the city of Orlando actually pursued purchasing the Pulse site because we believed there should be a public memorial. Before that item could come before the city council, the owners of Pulse, Barbara Poma, said she could not sell the property and that they should start a foundation that led the memorial process. That process continued for several years until 2023, when it was announced that they had not ever acquired the actual Pulse site and that they were unable to, and they were facing mounting fundraising challenges. At that point, we heard from several family members of the victims who believed strongly that the memorial should be on the site of the Pulse where the tragedy happened. We began discussions, and the mayor thought that it was important that there be a public memorial. And so Mayor Dyer pursued purchasing the Pulse site and committed to the city leading the permanent memorial process. Along with that, as One Pulse was dissolving, they informed the city that they had the property that they had purchased behind Pulse, the former doctor's office, they had a contract with a third party to buy that property. We believe that that property would be important to the memorial because there was a lack of space for parking, restrooms, and those types of amenities. So the mayor asked the community leader, Craig Mateer, if he would be willing to purchase that property until the city was in a position to purchase it and sell it back to the city for what he paid. We are planning to bring that forward in July of this year. Because we have never done a memorial, we didn't have a lot of background, the city took a few months after we purchased the property to research what other communities have done and to understand their processes. We knew at the forefront of that had to be victim, family, and survivor engagement. Thankfully for us, Donna Weish had recently retired from Orange County with her expertise in supporting families in mental health. And as I like to say, she failed retirement and agreed to come and work for the city to be our liaison to this process between the Memorial Advisory Committee and the city. So at this point, I'd like to call on Donna Weish to talk us through that process. We'll also have a presentation about the actual conceptual design, and then I'll come back to talk about funding and next steps.
By the way, you all are welcome to sit on the front row. If you don't have to just keep standing there. Please have a seat.
Good morning, Mayor, Commissioners. I appreciate Heather calling him out my failures in retirement. But it's a pleasure to see you all and be back here again. I was called to the city to help with the memorial, and as you can imagine, this is very close to my heart. So when I went over, Heather had brought on already someone who had done the memorial in Virginia Beach. Very different circumstance than what we had. It was a city employee in a city public building. This was way different than that. This had cultural issues, ethnicity issues, marginalized individuals. And so this was a different project altogether. And we take those things very seriously. Mayor, you know in my career we have always talked in behavioral health about cultural and linguistic competence. And we tried to do that throughout this whole process. So it's very important to us. So in April we began to plan. And we planned every possible way to get in touch with every family that we could, every survivor that we could. We did every possible thing to try to engage this community in all aspects. So in that process, we started with the thought of having focus groups. We wanted to bring people together to talk to us about what went well, what didn't go so well, what their expectation was, and we wanted to hear from them. We wanted to hear about their disappointments. We did. We wanted to hear about their lack of trust in this process. So we did. And we wanted to meet people where they were. So in May of last year, we began to have focus groups. Again, culturally and linguistically competent. We had them in Spanish, we had them in English, we had them virtual, and we had them in person. So we could give every opportunity to every individual that wanted to talk to us to talk to us. So Dr. Larry Schooler was working on putting that together. We met 10 different times during the month of May and the first part of June. In the first part of June, we started talking about committee work. We needed a committee. We needed a diverse committee. We needed families. We needed survivors. We needed community members. We needed architects. We needed artists. Because what we learned from other communities is having those individuals at the table working together. Some of it's very emotional. This community has been very emotional about this work, and they've pulled together.
Talking right now about the process for coming together with these plans for and vision for a permanent Pulse Memorial. We're going to take a quick break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back after this. We'll get you back inside this meeting as we anticipate them to also walk the county through what those plans are, as you're seeing some of those renderings on your screen as well. Going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I want to get you back inside this Orange County Board of County Commissioners meeting where the City of Orlando is giving a presentation about the Pulse Memorial and the plans for it. They've been walking through the process a little bit and how kind of things have gotten to this point. Once the city took over from the One Pulse Foundation, the city asking the county for $5 million to help out with the construction of that permanent memorial. Let's go ahead and listen in.
Many have said, I need to go into the building. I need to be able to do that. That's happened around the country where there have been these sorts of incidents. And that's going to be a tough time for a lot of people, but we're scheduling them now. And from the 11th until the 14th, many survivors, with support and families with support will be able to actually visit the building while it is still there. And we hope by the end of 2027, in that last quarter of 2027, we will have a ribbon cutting, we will have a memorial, something that we've waited on for 9 years. The goals of the process were quite frankly to gather as much feedback and as much input as we could from those families and those survivors, ensuring that our engagement was culturally and linguistically competent. We did all of our meetings and continue to do all of our meetings and send out all of our information in English and in Spanish. We wanted a transparent process, an opportunity for everyone, and I'll show you some of the things our communication team, who have been diligent in making sure that it's every opportunity to understand what we're doing and to be a part of what we're doing and have input into what we're doing. We wanted to advance the goal of selecting a conceptual design, and the guys that I will introduce you and the companies that have worked with us, and pro bono, by the way, not accepting $1 for anything they've done with us, and they've been utterly amazing to work with. And we have that conceptual design, and we're proud to be able to show that to you today. These are our committee members. There are 6 families represented here. There are 6 survivors represented here. There's architects and artists and people who are advocates. One of the huge advocates in this community spoke to you today, Nancy Rosado. I will tell you, she has been the voice when others didn't have one. And so I can't tell you how much these folks have meant. And if you don't mind, if you will just allow me to have the ones that are still here today. I know a few of them are here. Kelly, Myra, Marcelinas. I'm not sure if he's still here. Do you mind standing? Nancy? Any other community members I didn't see come in? I was watching like a hawk. All right, great. Thank you so much, guys.
All right.
They deserve all that and more,
Believe
me. All right. Well, this is a lot of our community members. I think there's about committee members. I think there's about 9 in there, and then there's some other of the motley crew that was joined in on this. This was the morning of the council meeting to get the council's approval to move forward. So our communication team, they haven't missed anything in this that I can tell. There are platforms like Engage Orlando. You can go on there and there's a special section that's give us input about what we're doing and what you think about Pulse. And we've had 128 people give us feedback on what's going on in the committee work, as well as what their thoughts are about a memorial. We have the pulseorlando.org. You can go on there, and there's been almost 17,000, probably to date more, that have gone in and viewed what's going on with our Pulse Memorial process. Newsletters in English and Spanish have been out. Media stories, 94, and probably more now with the site visits. You know, there are probably more media stories, and will be more as next week comes and goes. Letters, the old snail mail.
That presentation continuing in front of the Orange County Commission as they get ready to and continue their ask for $5 million to help with building the Pulse Memorial. Meanwhile, on the right, you see Axiom 4 crew speaking ahead of their planned launch this weekend, and then getting ready for that news conference at 11:30, where we're going to hear from family members of the 2 victims killed in that shooting on Halloween night in downtown Orlando. We're going to take a quick break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back after this.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer. Thanks for joining us. Let's go ahead and listen in here. Family members, attorneys walking up to the podium just now as they talk about filing this lawsuit against the city of Orlando concerning the shooting that happened on Halloween night. Let's go ahead and listen in here.
Of Tyrek and of Tim, as well as the notices that were sent out to the public entities that is needed to do when they are going to be defendants in a civil litigation matter. For the agenda today, Mr. Michael Haggard of the Haggard Law Firm will open up to set the groundwork here, and then Mr. Schmidt has a couple of words he'd like to share, Ms. Clinton as well, and then we will take questions. We appreciate everyone being here to share this really important message with the community. Thank you. Mr. Haggard.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Michael Haggard, along with my partner, Doug McCarran. We're here to announce that a lawsuit is going to be filed against the City of Orlando, the Orlando Police Department, and the entertainment district known as The Block, and a number of those restaurants in downtown Orlando, involving the tragic and terrible mass shooting during Halloween of last year. 19-year-old Tim Schmidt Jr., who you see right here, and 25-year-old Tyrek Hill, two absolutely innocent young men, had their lives taken that evening, and we from the Haggard Law Firm stand with both Tim Schmidt Sr. and Teresa Clinton in this pursuit of justice. It's another mass shooting. And you know, that rolls off the lips just a little bit too easy in the United States and in the state of Florida. Our firm has handled the Parkland mass shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, the Dollar General shooting in Jacksonville, the shooting of 3 football players at the University of Virginia, the shooting at the Hot Yoga in Tallahassee, and many more. We stand here next week, 9 years after Pulse, where 49 people lost their lives. And everybody in the community should ask one question: has anything changed? Has anything changed in society? Has anything changed in how businesses deal with this, the government deals with this, or anything along those lines? As we know, last year during Halloween, around approximately 75,000 people descended upon downtown Orlando for this event. We know that these events happen often. They are huge. There are huge tax revenue events. They're for profit companies making money. It's like having an NFL football game, as we all know. These parents want answers. They want answers as to who planned everything, who pulled the permits, who is in charge of security, who is in charge of ingress or egress. There were 10 victims that night. We know that Tim and Tyrek lost their lives and left behind these 2 amazing parents who met because of this tragedy. 7 other people were shot. 1 victim was trampled in this terrible tragedy. We have filed notices of intent to sue the City of Orlando and the Orlando Police Department, as we're required to do under state law, but we will be suing a number of private organizations within the entertainment district, the Block, and a number of different entities. And those are the questions we have to find out. How did this private-public partnership work? What was the planning going into security for this event? We all know that they had noticed early on that evening of this assailant when he was confronted by police. What happened after that? And how can this be prevented again? We sit here in a society where just this year we've had several hundred mass shootings. The United States averages over 600 mass shootings a year since 2020. That is not 3,000 shootings, ladies and gentlemen. That is 3,000 mass shootings. We need answers. Orlando needs answers from their government and from this entertainment district. And most importantly, Teresa and Tim need answers as to how this happened and how this will never, ever happen again. Well, that will take questions. Well, I think Tim will talk first.
I stand in front of you today not because I want to, but because I have to. Because silence would mean acceptance, and I will never accept this. As Mr. Edgar just mentioned, we're coming on 9 years of Pulse. What has changed since then? What's it going to take, Orlando? When are you going to shape up, start looking after people? This is a tourism destination, one of the top in the world. You want people to keep coming here? Shape up. This keeps happening. It's indescribable. What's it going to take? A shooting at Disney? A theme park? In a sports arena? Why are the streets not safe, but those places seem to be? I'll never understand that. I'll tell you a little bit about my son. The one whose blood stain I found in front of the Sly Fox on Orange Avenue just yesterday. It's still there. He died in the street like a dog in Central America. He didn't deserve that. Seeing that wiped out every good memory that I had here in Orlando with my parents. We came here from the Midwest many, many times, sharing memories at theme parks, seeing the beaches at Cocoa, etc. All the soccer I had with my son, playing around this area in tournaments, the Disney Springs tournament, the Disney Tour, wiped with one fatal shot to the heart. Because we don't know. That's what we're trying to find out. My son was overachieving. He had friends of all walks of life. The best friend circle a parent could ever ask for. Always laughing, always working on himself. Parents, coaches, teachers even reach out to me every single day to get lunch, to get a drink, to talk, to share pictures. That's who he was. His funeral had over 1,000 people there. We probably had more security at that funeral than they did on that street that night of the fatal deaths of these two right here. That's how impactful he was. People came from London, Colombia, California, about a dozen guys from Boston who went to college there. Their parents paid the money to fly him back, even though it was a couple weeks before Thanksgiving, where they'd have to get him another flight to come back, and then another one for the holidays. That's how much he was loved. People from all over came. I had over 100 people I went to high school and college with. I've been in Florida 25 years. You know how impactful that is? They met him when he'd come to Minnesota. They met him when they'd come visit me. They knew who he was. They knew he was my everything. Everything you see online about him, all the stories that have been running, that he was my mini-me, my best friend, they're all true. And it's even closer than that. I can't explain what we had. Mostly because I got primary custody of him at 9. We spent every moment together. Every moment. Didn't matter if he had a soccer game and it was his mother's weekend to take care of him and it was an hour and a half away at 8 a.m. on a Sunday. Even if I had plans the night before, I'd get up and I'd go to that game to watch him and support him. That's who I was with him, and that's who he was with me. Books, weight room, YouTube videos, he did everything he could to advance his life and excel. He was a sponge. He wanted to learn. He was going places. That's who he was, and that's who was taken from us that night. He dropped the nickname Timo, which he had from a young age, because, let's be honest, most Latin people can't say the name Tim very well. Hearing team is like a sports team. No, it's Tim, you guys. It's Tim. But he did that because he wanted to be just like me. He wanted the junior-senior thing to be carried. It's something that he was proud of. One day he approached me and said, Dad, can you change your Instagram name? I said, what do you want me to change it to? He said, well, it's Tim Schmidt 9. It should be Tim Schmidt Sr., and I'll be Tim Schmidt Jr. And after that, he took us to get tattoos, which we have on our arms that say junior and senior. Forever bonded. I'll never see him graduate college, secure a career, get married, have kids, and I'll never have grandkids to spoil. Instead, we channel this pain into fuel of the charity to help my son, to help people go through things with similar tragedy. My son has helped so many people in his life, and all those messages are on our charity website, which is now live, untilforever.org. You can read his story, and you can read all this outpouring of support I got on messages from people I knew and didn't know about how he helped them. And those are all put together in one montage that you can read and digest. So we want to be there to help people. Funeral expenses, therapy, meals, anything. We're going to help. Our mission is here to help victims, families of senseless crimes, the ones that took Tyrek and my son. We want to be there. People started GoFundMes for both our children. They were wildly successful. Shouldn't have to rely on those. There should be people out there. I want to make that phone call and say, I'm so sorry what happened to you. Here's how we're going to help you. We want to lift the burden off those people. So anyone out there who wants to be involved at a corporate level or donate, anything helps. It can be time, it can be resources. Reach out to us directly, untilforever.org. I was so touched when my son called me a problem solver and a leader in his best man speech just over a year ago in Costa Rica. I have to prove him right. So along with the help of family and friends, I'm turning this pain into purpose. Untilforever.org is our fuel. I'm not here asking for sympathy. Thoughts and prayers are appreciated, but they don't stop bullets. Help us any way you can and know that's going to a great cause. While we'll never get our son back, we can keep his helping heart, the one he was shot directly into on that street over there, by providing love and support for others going through the same thing.
Hello, everyone. As I stand here today, I never thought that I would be standing here to talk about my son in this way, in this circumstance. But as a mother, I wanted to be behind here talking about the success. On November the 1st, 2024, my son, he wanted to be an entrepreneur like his mother. And I say, son, write the vision down and make it plain. And that very day of November the 1st, 2024, me and my son was going to sit, because he worked for the tow company in Winter Garden, the car store, Mr. Garrett, whom he loved and he shadowed and he looked up to. My son was about to purchase his first towing truck at the age 25, but he never made it. Tyrek Hill was a young man that was a gentle giant. Until today, I did not know that he impacted so many people's lives. Until the day that we had to bury him. Like you, there was over thousands of people. Even at his vigil, there was about 500. Never thought that I would have to say this behind this podium in this way. Tyrek Hill, I like to think of him as the gentle giant that walks into the room and his smile gave joy in the room. He was a young man of love, kind, understanding, a man that gave everyone the benefit of the doubt. He would light up a room. And if he didn't understand something, he was a young man that would ask. And he would go around until he got what he needed. I was Mardukes to him. I was special to him. The only man that ever kissed me on my forehead. He didn't have to be around to know that I was going through something. We had that kind of connection. And I can say that night, before he went, he had worked hard. And he had Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays off. So he said, Mom, I want to go downtown. And me, as a mother, I said, are you sure? Because it's Halloween. And he said, oh, Mom, I don't worry about that. I want to go be with my friends and interact with my peers. I always look for a phone call early in the morning from my Tyrek Hill, my gentle giant. I got a phone call that morning, but it was not him. But on Friday, November the 21st, 2024, I was waiting on a phone call, and I got one, but it was not from my gentle giant. I would never hear his voice again. Oh, how I would long to hear that voice. To lose your child like this is the worst thing ever. We know that we all have to leave here, but what a way to go. Because of someone else's negligence, inconsiderate, I don't care. Not enough of what's needed to protect the people. So since this have happened, I often ask myself, I often blame myself. And then I was sitting about a month ago, and I said, was I at fault? Because I felt like I didn't protect my son. Was my son at fault because he wanted to be out amongst people like a young 25-year-old to be normal? Was it the crowd fault that was at this same event? Not thinking nothing like this, like we normal people, we go out, we get into our car, and we don't expect things like that, right? Especially at an event where we feel like we're protected. As I remember in the front of my mind, the last time that I seen my son, I thought it was the last time that he said, I'm going down there. But the last time that I seen him alive was downtown, and his hands were like this. And I often wonder, what was my gentle giant thinking? Looking all around, admiring the women, the girls, thinking, I'm loving this. Never expected not to return home to his Madus. So I asked this question today. Who do we blame? The young man that did the act, the crowd, Timothy and Tyrek, the parents, you all? We can point the blame at anybody, but who will step up and make a change? The change started that night for me. Let's make a difference. It don't have to just be us. It can be all. Or is it just another person dead in the streets? Hey, and another suspect in jail. And that's where it all ends. And that's not where it should be. We should make a difference. Who will we blame?
We will take questions now, please.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
When did the light click that you want to turn this pain to a purpose with this nonprofit charity? I know you posted, I saw your Instagram story after the FSU mass shooting. Just when did it click that you wanted to keep your son's legacy alive in this fashion?
He's always had a passion for helping people, and that's evident on the website as I referenced earlier. But just a few months after, we have a lot of support locally in South Florida, Fort Lauderdale area. And people wanted to do events to keep his memory present. They went as far as a club he played for, Plantation, named their Thanksgiving trophy after him. It's called the Tim Schmidt Jr. Trophy. Every Thanksgiving, it's the largest Thanksgiving soccer tournament in South Florida. It's a great one. The Jason Taylor Foundation is doing a $5,000 annual scholarship for people that they give away at their chili cook-off every year. So seeing people want to honor him and be involved just told me that I have to do something that can continue his legacy and do what he did best, and that was helping people. So it wasn't more than 2 months after he passed that we had an idea. We just didn't know who we wanted to help, because there's a lot of different ways you can divvy up a charity. But for us, being there for people that are going to go through eventually what we're going through and have to deal with the rest of our lives, I'd like to be there to help them.
Mr. Haggard, in the immediate aftermath, we had a chance to talk to Chief Smith about what unfolded here. He talked about the past. They used to have security checkpoints and whatnot, and he blamed the change in state law. And so my question to you, sir, does the blame go beyond the city of Orlando? Has this state loosened its gun laws? And we know they've also tried to push to turn back some of the post-partum provisions. So at what point is our safe state with the laws we have to regulate guns?
No, our laws in the state of Florida are awful with regard to gun safety. There's no question about it. But the city of Orlando knows that. The police department knows that. The entertainment district knows that. And I feel bad in some sense for some businesses because their government has abandoned them. They've darn sure abandoned these families. There's no question about it. So businesses have to step up in the environment they're in. Or you can make the choice and say to your state government, we're not going to have a lot of tax revenue because we can't hold these events. They cannot, if they've determined they can't be safe, then you can't have them. And so do I agree that if I was writing the laws, I would change them severely in the state of Florida, not to mention the United States. But what we tell businesses all the time in these type cases is, you live in the United States of America. You know the ground rules, and they are not good. This doesn't happen in any other country in the world. And that's just a plain fact. It happens here. The epidemic of gun violence is unique to the red, white, and blue. And that's just a fact. I mean, statistics. But once you know that, whether you're a shopping mall, whether you're an entertainment district, you're having the Ultra Music Festival in Miami, or you're having a festival in Orlando, you have to protect your citizens. And if you can't, because the checkpoints aren't allowed and we've changed different laws, then you have to do something else. So that you have to play within the rules that are laid out to you. And I agree, there aren't good rules. And that's a shame, but Orlando has a delegation. They have a mayor that served in the Florida Senate, and they should be up there with these families. And unfortunately, a lot of other families throughout this state, up there in Tallahassee, try to make those changes. But until they do, you have to secure events like this, or it's never going to stop.
If you could, follow-up question for you, break down what you are seeking in this lawsuit, and to your point about the checkpoints and the gun laws, what does secure downtown look like for you?
Yeah, I think the first thing we're looking for is answers. Right now, when you pull permits like this, and you're having 75,000 people, who's in charge? A lot of people know that there was a lawsuit between the entertainment district and the government about paying for off-duty officers and everything like that. So that's not a good start when you have a private-public partnership and they're not working together. That's a real problem. So we want to see, and sometimes you can only get this through a lawsuit, is who was in charge, who was making all the decisions, what type of security assessment and threat assessment was really done for this type of major event, and everything along those lines. And could you secure some access and strategically plan to have your police in different type places if you have this situation? So that's what the families want, is they want answers here. We want to get all these answers, lay it all out, and everything along those lines.
Question here.
And Doug, do you want to jump in on some of
I'm
this?
so sorry for both of y'all's losses. I'm so sorry. Question for you, sir, is that you mentioned some of the businesses in the area of downtown Orlando, right? Can you just give us some specific businesses that are going to be listed in this lawsuit, and what would be their liability in this case regarding the shooting?
Well, we're not going to get into the specific businesses that we're going to bring into the lawsuit, but there's a number in the block, as Mr. Haggard talked about earlier. And part of what we're trying to determine, and you go down and you try to figure out who pulled the permit, no one can give you an answer at this point in time. I don't know if it's because no one pulled the permit or it's because they just aren't giving us the information. So we're trying to figure out exactly who, as we just discussed, who was actually in charge. Did the police just decide, you know what, we're going to have a event that they're going to have 75,000 people in this little area, and we're going to just close off the streets? I don't think that's really how it happens. It shouldn't happen that way. If that's really what the answers are, then I think that we're going to find these things out, and things have to be changed. You can't just haphazardly go into having an event such as this with the amount of people that they knew were coming. This wasn't we didn't know that this many people were coming. This isn't the first time they've had it. And we talked about the checkpoints and what the police chief's statements were after the incident, that he can't do anything if their hands are tied. Well, we'll see. I don't necessarily agree with them, but that is what it is. You can't take a firearm into a bar. You can't take a firearm into a bank. You can't take a firearm into private property. There's different things that there are restrictions on where you can and cannot bring firearms. Why are you allowed to bring a firearm into an event that's got 75,000 people? There's no common sense answer to that, but maybe the law allows that. I mean, that's what the position of the city is. Well, why are you allowing it to happen then? It just makes no sense, and these are some of the questions that need to be answered through this lawsuit when we get people under oath and we start taking some depositions.
I understand you cannot name those businesses yet. Do you know how many businesses in that entertainment district will be mentioned in the lawsuit?
Well, one of the first things that we're trying to determine, and we have done our public records request and we've gotten no response, or very limited responses that take forever. very direct questions is who actually was pulling the permits? And is it an entity or is it a group of entities? You see in the lawsuit that was filed, I believe approximately a month before, there was a group of folks, a group of businesses that obviously followed the lawsuit. They didn't want to have to pay for the off-duty police officers. That was the whole, I mean, to boil it down, that's what they were complaining about. They're saying, why is it all on us? You don't charge other entities. You don't charge professional sports team, which also brings a lot of people into the area. That was what their complaint was, and I know that case is still ongoing. So those are the different types of things that we're trying to determine, and we just haven't gotten anywhere without with our public records request, which we should already have those answers, but we don't.
Tim and Teresa, it's my understanding that you hadn't met each other until
First
today, so I'm
time.
just curious what it's like for the two of you to both come together under these circumstances. I mean, what a tragic bond you both share.
Yeah, we're in an awful club. An awful club that you don't want to be in. So, you know, we've been talking about how much this means to me. It wasn't by design or anything like that. I haven't stepped foot up here, other than at UCF for an Eternal Night celebration, which was very nice. I haven't stepped foot in this area since the day we picked up his belongings. So, yeah, and she lives up here, and I'm obviously in South Florida.
Yes.
But it was really nice to meet, and we'll definitely be in touch forever.
Yes, I was waiting. I couldn't wait. When it first happened, you know, things so quickly. But he did.
Family members talking about the terrible club they have found themselves in, meeting here for the first time. Family members, parents of those victims killed in that Halloween shooting. We have to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back with more after this.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back to Fox 35 News Plus. Want to get you back inside this news conference in downtown Orlando, where we're hearing from family members of the two victims who were shot and killed in downtown Orlando on Halloween night, talking about never hearing the voices of their children again, talking about the negligence that they say led to this being allowed to happen. Let's go ahead and listen in as another question's asked.
OBD said anything to y'all as far as their own investigation is concerned about why this took place?
No.
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 And is there any message that you would like to leave with for the shooter himself? I understand he's still locked up, but is there anything that you want to say about it?
Just on the criminal case, since it's ongoing, they don't really want to comment on that and affect the prosecution anyway. But thank you, no.
Lastly, any message in terms of how you want everybody to remember the legacy of yourselves?
You know, our last conversation was the last text I sent to him after he sent my wife and I a picture of him in his outfit with friends that were visiting from South Florida. They weren't from up here. They were visiting him for Halloween weekend. They did Halloween Horror Nights, and then they went to this celebration the night after. They were out to have a great time. He was a designated driver that night, and he was just doing it to show his friends around the area and have a great time with them. And my last message to him was, have fun and take care. And he always went out with a smile on his face and never had a bad bone in his body. And again, he was just doing that to show his best friend Simon, who came up from Pembroke Pines, Florida. He wanted to show him around. He showed him all of UCF. He showed him Halloween Horror Nights. I think they did it on their park that week. And, you know, he wanted to show him where he hung out and where he had memories. And that was just him. He wanted to give everybody every ounce of his energy and spirit that he had.
Mine would be my son, as everybody knows, his smile and his love for people. That's how I want everybody to remember my son. That he loved it you. It don't matter what. He loved it you, and a lot of young men after this happened came to me and said that he was a great inspiration. One man said, young fella said that he wanted to commit suicide. And he said, your son came to me with no gas in his car. Didn't know whether he was going to make it, to sit with him and to talk with him. And he said, it's because of your son that I'm still here. So his encouragement and his light that he brings into a room.
Any other? Sorry, attorney. This lawsuit seems you guys are looking for accountability, right?
Yeah, accountability and answers. Absolutely. And one thing I would say to everyone, you know, we've talked about Tim and Tyrek so much as the parents' loss. I want to be very clear. This is all of our losses. I mean, when you have two young men like this, ironically two entrepreneurs with two of the most incredible smiles, all you've heard about is the effect they made on others. Gun violence is a tremendous loss for all of society. You can't have a society when you lose young, just absolute leaders and people are going to be productive in your society. And that's why I agree that the state has left us behind, the nation, but we really have to get that accountability here, get the answers so it doesn't happen again. Like Doug was saying, don't hide the information. And if you all want to do some FOIA requests, we would encourage you to do so from the media, because we've got to get these answers so it doesn't happen again. I've stood here too many times with families, and we're just losing our youth. 40,000 people a year die in the United States from gun violence. It's the #1 killer of 18 and older. For the first time ever in the United States 2 years ago. First time since the automobile was created, that guns have now overtaken. And there are a lot more guns in the United States than there are people. And that's not slowing down. So thank you all.
You're bringing this lawsuit against the city of Orlando and OPD.
Yes, and the, like we talked about, a number of the members of the Orlando Entertainment District, the Block, which is a loosely organized entertainment district, and those private enterprises.
Is there a timeline for when that lawsuit will be filed?
It will be filed this month. And just as everyone probably knows, this month is the start of, and this month is Gun Violence Prevention Month. So the family warrant, these two incredible parents who met today, you know, I wish they didn't ever have to meet, although I'm sure you guys would have been friends, but to have to meet over this, they wanted to do this now and try again to get as much awareness out there that we can with this tragedy, to do whatever we can to save all of your children and everyone's children.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
News conference wrapping up there, where you heard from Tim Schmidt Sr., Teresa Clinton, the parents of the two victims who were killed in that shooting in downtown Orlando on Halloween night. It was the early morning hours of November 1st where they were killed. You see Tyrek Hill and Timothy Schmidt Jr. In that monitor behind me there. The attorney today announcing their intention to file suit against the city of Orlando, against Orlando police, and also against the entertainment district. So several businesses and organizers of that event. 75,000 people downtown that night is the estimate. And you heard from Michael Haggard, the attorney, saying that calling Florida's gun safety laws awful, he said. So they know that. He said that, you know, if they weren't able to, if the city was not able to do screenings, have metal detectors because of a change in law, then businesses knew that and would have needed to step up, is the claim that Haggard was making. He said, if you can't have an event like that safely, then you shouldn't have it. We also heard from Tim Schmidt Sr. saying Orlando is one of the top tourism destinations in the world. And he said, and yet his son died like a dog in the street. Also talked about continuing the legacy of his son to help others who have lost victims, lost loved ones to gun violence with their Until Forever charity that they are using to keep his legacy alive. Well, we have already gone past noon here on Fox 35 News Plus. We are going to continue further, still have a few more things we want to get to. So keep it right here on Fox Local and on YouTube. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. Attorney General James Uthmeier was in Tavares in Lake County earlier today, announcing the sentencing of an illegal immigrant named Jose Gomez, sentenced to life in prison for sex trafficking an underage girl out of his apartment. Here's some of that news conference from just a little bit ago.
I'll tell you a little bit about it. In July of 2024, Eustis PD responded to a 911 hang-up. And if you're a law enforcement officer and you get a 911 hang-up, you truly don't know what you're going into. You have to have all of your senses on alert because you don't know what it's going to be. So they're canvassing the area, Eustis officers, and they encounter a woman who seems distraught. And they approach her and talk to her, and they realize that something's happened. And she starts to give a statement about how she was just in an apartment, and someone in that apartment had a gun, had raped her, threatened her. So Eustis PD locates the apartment. The officers take her somewhere, get a statement, and they try to make contact with the person that we're going to talk about today, whose name is Jose Gomez. So they locate Jose Gomez in the apartment. He's holed up. He won't come out. They can't get him to come out for a while, but they work pretty hard, and eventually they do get him out. And they arrest him for 1 count of sexual battery, 1 count of false imprisonment, and resisting without violence. At the time, the victim, and this is a theme that often happens with children who are the victims of sex trafficking, misrepresented her age. And at the time, she indicated that she was, in fact, an adult. Later, upon further investigation, we would learn that she was much younger. So after she provides a statement, they interview the defendant, who also gives a statement. Then we get a search warrant to extract the phone of this individual. And I'll tell you, there are going to be other cases that are spin-offs from this particular investigation, and that's because of the work that the law enforcement agencies did on the case. So they do some extractions, and they realize first that the text messages between the defendant and the victim confirmed her story. They also confirm with DNA, which is extremely critical in every case that we can get it. They looked at some of those searches and realized the defendant had been searching for things like young girls, sex for first time, little teenage girls having sex for first time. These are constant searches that were done. 13-year-old first time, I won't say it, teenagers, same thing. So there's lots of text messages that indicate that this wasn't an accident. This was a deliberate criminal who was seeking to prey on children. And when you look at the Florida statutes and you look at human trafficking and you look at the way the legislature has spelled it out, the primary purpose is to protect children who are being trafficked. Another thing that I think everybody should understand, don't think of human trafficking as a extremely organized. It can be a smaller criminal scheme. If you're a buyer or if you're a seller, if you just think you're going to connect with a pimp and in this case, and it's awful, but he basically bought a girl for an hour to do whatever he wanted with, we're going to treat you as if you're the person who organized it. And that's why this guy got a life sentence. The legislature's made it clear. If you traffic in a child for sex, it's a mandatory life sentence. After, I think I said it earlier, after identifying her actual age, we changed the charges from sexual battery to lewd and lascivious battery upon a child and human trafficking because of her age. What that has done, this conviction, aside from give evidence to law enforcement to look for other types of crimes and other spin-offs, it has given him the distinction, Mr. Gomez, of being the 121st person that we've sent to prison for life in this circuit since I took office. He also adds to the distinction of the Fifth Circuit being, or leading the state in prison admissions in 2025.
An illegal alien raped and trafficked a child, a little girl. An illegal alien raped and trafficked a little girl. Just appreciate this. We're seeing these stories everywhere now. Today it's Florida, yesterday Massachusetts, tons of examples across the country. But everybody back behind the cameras, understand it. An illegal alien raped and trafficked a little girl. These aren't just stories, these are tragedies. These are horrific, grotesque events that keep happening. And they're happening because of the open border policies that were in existence. This monster should not have been in this country. He should not have been here. This crime should not have occurred. This victim should not have had to go through this terrible tragedy. Now, we're detaining and deporting across the state, but as the state attorney said, this guy's not going anywhere. He's going to stay right here. We're going to know where he is. He will be behind bars for the rest of his life, and that prison cell will be far too nice a place for this individual. But it's time that everybody work together to combat illegal immigration and shut down the border for once and for all. This is not a left or right issue. This is not a Republican-Democrat issue. This is rule of law. It is protecting our kids from these tragic situations. How many people have to be victimized like this before everyone will get together and realize that if we are going to be a sovereign country, if we are going to protect our families and our kids, we must have rule of law. We must have a secure border, and we must ensure that people are here legally. I want to thank the state attorney and law enforcement for rising to the occasion again and stepping in to identify this tragic story and to put this guy away for a long time. As Attorney General, it is an honor to work with and support you guys every single day. I've got your back. Whatever you guys need, we're here. We've got to keep Florida the safest state in the country to raise a family. It begins with these guys right here.
We'll be right back with more Fox 35 News Plus after this.
What defines a team's identity? Before we played any games, it was a logo, uniform, and a vision for the future of basketball in the City Beautiful. There was an energy in those early days that was created by our fans and captured the essence of who we were and how we played. With a little luck, larger-than-life personalities, and generational talent created must-watch basketball. Our identity was synonymous with hoops culture and winning. That was our foundation. Teams eventually evolved, and another chapter in the story is written. Fresh faces changed the style of play.
No! Not that
Redesigned logos and uniforms have brought new vitality a few times over the years. It's been a little while since we made a change. With the growth of this team, the time is right.
Shot clock down to 5. He's going to go for the win. Shot is up and he got it! Magic.
We've been listening, and now it's time to bring us closer to that original brand essence.
Yeah, the pinstripes and star are back. The Orlando Magic today unveiling their new look logo for the upcoming season. New logo, new jerseys, new court design as well. They unveiled that at a special event earlier today at Kia Center.
We heard from our passionate fan base the desire for something new while paying homage to the nostalgic logos of the past. So we've combined that feedback into the new logos that we're excited to share with you today. We also paid attention to the excitement around uniform launches, and specifically our anniversary celebrations when we were able to bring back uniforms from the past. Fans requested the return of bold pinstripes and the Orlando Magic iconic star as a featured element. In October 2021, we began this journey by listening to fans and conducting industry-wide research. The future of our team is marked with great potential and excitement around things to come as our talented young roster continues to grow, to gel together, and to propel forward. This logo represents a new era of Magic basketball, building on the heritage and the history of this franchise. Throughout this process, we found a great branding agency and partner in Sky, with whom we worked closely on multiple iterations of identity for the Magic. We also engaged the DeVos family over the last 4 years to ensure that we were delivering on their vision for the long-term future of the team. We truly have the best, most supportive ownership group in sports who are very engaged in this entire process.
The inspiration really was from the fans. We started this process 4 years ago. It's been a labor of love over that time. Really started by social listening. We paid attention to what fans were saying on social media and took that, went out with surveys, did a ton of focus groups, talked to our staff. Many of you are here today, so thank you for your feedback. Through that, we then opened it up to agency partners. So we looked at dozens of marks and possible identities for the Orlando Magic. We found a great partner in Sky, who is here with us today, and worked with him over 3 years with a lot of collaboration with the NBA, with the DeVos family. Was very fortunate alongside of these guys to get a lot of feedback and a lot of opportunity. So through that whole process, again, through all of that, gathering more fan feedback, more focus groups, we have an amazing internal research team who helped us guide this direction for not only the identity that you're seeing in the logos, but the uniforms that you're about to see, and I think you will truly love those. So the marks that we revealed today are really focused on that simplicity, modernizing our original marks. There's a ton of energy around the iconic features of the Orlando Magic, which is that ball and star trail. We saw in retail data that people love and have a nostalgia for our original marks. So we really wanted to take that, modernize that design, and really make it future focused and to last with us for the next generation of Magic fan. So the global logo that you're seeing on the center court today brings that primary icon and that star and ball and star trail as the central focus, surrounding it with the Orlando Magic word mark. The primary icon is just that ball and star trail. You'll see that a ton. And really the bold blue that you're seeing today on the court is also enhanced. We are also introducing our word marks, which you're seeing on the LED throughout the building, which brings back that star as the A. Another key focal point that our Magic fans really love. And finally, introducing a secondary logo. We haven't had a fourth mark that we were able to use historically, and this, again, focuses on the star as the focal point with an upward trajectory of a ball, which goes to show what the team is doing on the court and really the future success that we're looking forward to for the Orlando Magic.
How good do these new jerseys look? Amazing. Yes. Well, thank you guys for joining us today to showcase the future of the Orlando Magic brand identity. Before we get into questions and talking about everything, I want to first talk a little bit more into the detail of these new jerseys. So, Kenny, we're going to start with you. You are wearing the new Association Edition uniform, which brings back the bold and the black pinstripes and the magic word mark featuring the star as an A, and the icon star on the shorts. So overall, I mean, this is a great look right here. We love the refresh, right?
Yes, this is a great look. For me, I mean, since I've growing up, I've always, watched Orlando Magic's, just NBA period. But always liked the old school pinstripes jersey that they wore, and then just adding a new school to it. I mean, it feels great. I feel excited, just to be in this uniform.
Awesome. We love that. We love that energy. All right, and Tristan, you are wearing the new Icon Edition uniform, and that is the bright magic blue and the Orlando word mark featuring the star as an A and the iconic trim around the uniform. And overall, I mean, how you feeling in this one?
Yeah, they look super clean.
Yeah.
I remember I had a Shaq jersey that I got a couple years ago, a black one. It kind of reminds me of these ones.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited to get on the court with these.
That's awesome. And then, of course, the third and final uniform in the lineup is the Statement Edition uniform featured here, and which is the only Jordan brand uniform in the lineup, and it is influenced by the team's original on-court warm-up jackets. You guys like that one the most, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's really good. That one's really clean. It's up there, guys. The people who need to see it are seeing it.
We wanted to see it too.
I know. You'll be wearing it. You'll see them. You'll see them. All right, first I want to talk about, we haven't seen you guys in a minute, so first tell us, what have you guys been up to this summer? How's your summer been so far for you?
For me, my job is never done. I'm just here with the kids, working out with them, just getting that family time in. And also doing, one of my favorite hobbies now is golfing.
Yes.
So just family time for me.
I saw on your podcast you've been doing a pickup line too with the kids for school too. How's that been? You've been
school's over with. But
oh yeah, but how was that? How was that?
It was good. Like I said on my podcast, that's long time with my son. We get to talk. A lot of times we don't get to talk.
Yeah.
And spend that time together. So like that means a lot to me just to get up, take them to school, pick them up, and just have them talks with them.
I love that. I love that for you. Tristan, what have you been up to? Traveling? What's been going on?
A little bit of travel. Had some family time on my own. Spent some time in Munich for like 2 weeks. But then, I've been back in Orlando, trying to get some work in, trying to get ready for summer league. So, yeah, I've been back in the O.
Yeah, it's exciting. All right, I want to get a little into these jerseys. Kenny, let's start with you. So you kind of talked a little bit about it, but just your initial reaction to seeing the new jerseys that you guys are going to be wearing this season.
I was excited, just to walk in, see the pinstripes, what I've always, worn, and watched. But I was excited, truly, blessed and amazed. I get a chance to, put these uniforms on next year. And like I said, it feels good, it feels clean.
Yeah.
And I'm excited.
That was Contavious Caldwell-Pope and Tristan De Silva on the court there, showing off the jerseys as well. I do like the look of the pinstripes, I can tell you that. Well, we're gonna kind of wrap up a little bit of our coverage here on Fox 35 News Plus, but I do want to let you know we are going to continue here with the Orange County Commission meeting as they continue to discuss the Pulse Memorial funding request. They've been asking some questions. So let's go ahead and listen in to this.
Aspirational at this point. You don't really know
what the programming is going to be today, right?
Correct. The focus was really on the memorial itself, and the building provided the opportunity for bathrooms and office space, but we know there's also an opportunity for additional minor programming there. Again, it's limited, and we don't intend for this to be a functional, I mean, we want to keep the sanctity of the memorial.
Right. So the
My request was only for a county rep to be on that board. That's what I was requesting.
What board?
There's not a board.
No.
They
said they have a board.
That's a committee that their work was it's ended. Their work was specific to do the conceptual design, and so their work has ended. We'll be bringing back and doing public updates at 30 and 60% design, and we're happy to include county staff at that point. But the committee's work is ended with the conceptual design.
That's correct. So just for full clarity, we're not trying to get in the business of the city in terms of the programming that you ultimately will decide in a fairly limited space. The majority of this memorial site is just that. It's not designed to be a service center. That's not what this has been designed for. Okay, so I just want our board to understand what the site is and what the site is not. So there has to be some flexibility in what that motion looks like. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
And so I'll ask county staff, as we prepare for a motion, a proper motion, what perhaps that language can look like. But we do have some other questions. Byron, did you want to opine at this point?
Just note, Mayor, that actually a funding agreement has to be drafted and brought back to the board. The funding agreement is where we put the details. What we need today is consensus from the board about moving forward, and then we've already had some preliminary discussions of that process with that step. And so the funding agreement would have, for example, the distribution of the dollars, the timing, all those things come in the funding agreement that we hope we've had very preliminary discussions about getting that funding agreement moving quickly as well. So just want to note that is where a lot of those details oftentimes come in the funding agreement.
Correct. The agenda item today is they're seeking approval for the county to make a $5 million contribution.
Second, Wilson.
And okay. So I haven't called the question. We still have discussion going. I know you all want to make the motion, but that's not proper at this point. Commissioner Simrad.
Thank you, Mayor. I had a question for just on the oversight. If there's no committee, and there's no member, maybe it's possible for our comptroller, Diamond, to have access and oversight in conjunction with. The city has something like an equivalent position. I see it's Jose Fernandez, who acts as for the controller's office of the city. Perhaps that, we have two parties working together. I know it comes at a later stage in the contract negotiation, but it would be great if our independently elected comptroller that represents both the city and Orange County, as well as then the city, have input through their controller. I don't know, is that possible for our comptroller to?
What I will tell you is that on matters like this, is trying to depoliticize these issues and not have electeds. This is why the city moved forward with families, etc. So I'm not sure what it is that you're requesting for the comptroller to do in this case.
I think just access to the accounts, just like how the city controller would also have.
I would
just
think
access.
that funding agreement, and Comptroller Diamond, we could explain because now, for example, on the request that would come through for funding that TDT, both the comptroller's office and from our financial side, we get those documentation even before payout with a prior organization, I won't name, but anyway, the prior organization. The comptroller's office does also receive the, I think, comptroller, they would send we do the reimbursement basis, they would send the documentation, and both comptroller's office and the county would review those. So that, and we anticipate having that type of language in the funding agreement as well.
Well, and if I could, Mayor, those things are typically set out by, for the members of the board at least, those things are typically set out in the funding agreement as far as what my office would receive versus what Byron Brooks or anybody else might receive, and that's all that's all spelled out in the agreement. I haven't had any discussions about the agreement. I'm not sure what it would look like. I'm certainly willing to talk to anybody that wants to talk about it, and you know, I can assure you, Mayor Demings, it wouldn't be a political process.
We're perhaps talking two different things here in terms of whenever we enter into contractual agreements, the comptroller's office cuts the checks, and whenever the county spends money, you know, is subject to the comptroller's audit. But what I'm referencing here is some other kind of creation of a committee to provide oversight and those types of things. That's not the role of our comptroller in this instance. This is what I'm talking about. Two different
We would write the checks to the city if that's what the board decided, whatever interim was decided for.
Right, and those are kind of details we obviously put into our contracts. But
Mayor, just to clarify, I was asking for access, not oversight. So for the comptroller to have access to the, you know, to the records and the management of the money and the revenue coming in, just for internal
that's
controls.
pursuant to the office that he holds. That's not what I'm speaking to. Okay. That's what he's chartered to do whenever the county spends money. So,
okay. If it helps, it would look very similar. The funding agreement would look very similar to some of those other agreements that the comptroller's office, again, we hadn't gotten to that level yet. It was just a very quick conversation about there will be a funding agreement that spells out these details. We anticipated it looking very similar to the agreements that we have in place. In the comptroller hadn't been involved with those, but it was going to mirror very closely the type of agreements we have, like audit provisions, those types of things. So it would have all the bells and whistles, or
the customary
whatever
things
you normally say
in our contracts. So we're not trying to negotiate the contract today. We're just trying to get the affirmation that we want to engage. Okay.
Mayor, I have a question.
First, Commissioner Scott.
I really don't want to belabor this, so I just have a few questions, maybe a request. I guess my first question is, Heather, do you now know, and I know this may change with a future administration, but do you now know with certainty, or at least have an idea, what department would this fall under?
We don't. We're actually spending time talking about that, and because it's not operational until 2027, we have a little bit of time. We're also looking at, do we actually need to prescribe, like update, I don't know if it's code or ordinance, I'm not on the legal side, they'll probably say I'm saying the wrong thing, but update to reflect something specific and new that is overseen, because memorials are very different. It's not a park. It's not just an open space. You know, parks have a lot of, they allow First Amendment, they allow, I don't think this is a space where we want to have active protesting or those types of things allowed because of how sacred of a site is. So we are having those discussions. There's not really a obvious, it 100% makes sense. I mean, there's not usually memorials in the cities that are overseeing them. And so we're talking about the best way and to make